Hello everybody, this is Goji73 here with a figure review. It's been quite a while since I've been posting any figure reviews of any sort, as I've gone on record several times before. I've kind of wanted to take a break from figure reviews because I don't think I've been creative or diverse enough to make some, but I figured I'd make this quick one to either hopefully spark my interest in making them again or just to do whatever with them. However, I should mention that I'm also making this review as sort of feedback to a company because, unlike a bunch of figure reviews I've been posting, this one is different in that it's not by Bandai, it is by NECA, which already tells you which figure this is. So let's pull him out. The NECA Knifehead from the film Pacific Rim. Now, let's start off with his history, because his movie has only just recently came out, about last year recently. Knifehead is the first monster to appear storytelling-wise in the film Pacific Rim. Not the first kaiju that appears by technicality, but the one that our heroes face. He appears in Anchorage, Alaska, and attacks a fishing vessel on his way to attack the city, presumably, only to be intercepted by Gypsy Danger, who goes to battle with the monster. At first, Gypsy Danger manages to briefly defeat Knifehead by blasting him a few times with his plasma cannon, but Knifehead quickly recovers, rips off one of Gypsy Danger's arms, and kills one of the pilots, Yancey Beckett, who was the brother of Raleigh Beckett, the main character. Knifehead then proceeds to try and destroy Gypsy Danger, but is ultimately destroyed when Raleigh manages to blast Gypsy Danger in the head, which ultimately kills the kaiju. And that's just about it for Knifehead's history in the film. Apart from any further information about Knifehead, Knifehead is a Category 3 kaiju in the Pacific Rim universe. Unlike the monsters in Ultraman, Godzilla, and Gamera, the kaiju in Pacific Rim are categorized by what I believe is their ferocity and how powerful they are. There are 5 categories altogether, and Knifehead is Category 3, so he's like in between. So that's just about it for a quick stats on Knifehead. Now let's get on to detail. I should also go on to mention that Knifehead is one of 3 figures to be released in the first line of Pacific Rim figures made by NECA. The other 2 figures being Gypsy Danger and Crimson Typhoon. Knifehead is the first kaiju that was released on the line, and I believe it looks pretty good. According to some reports, there's going to be another Knifehead coming out, but I'll get onto that later. But overall, right now, I thought Knifehead was pretty nice here. The yellow streaks all over his body he does possess, and in the 18-inch figure that will be coming either later on this year or is already out, I have lost track, are actually on Knifehead, and they're actually captured pretty well. I don't know much about NECA, but if this is how they treat their figures, then I say good job to them, because they really got it down. It's not only just the yellow streaks. If you look closely at the arm, there's a lot of extra intricate detail that matches the skin on Knifehead, so that's really nice. Of course, let's take a look here. If you notice these blue dots, these are actually Knifehead's eyes. The funny thing about, or not funny, but interesting thing about kaiju in Pacific Rim is that they all have 6 eyes. And with Knifehead, he has 3 on each side. He has 3 on that side, and 3 on that side. That's the 3rd eye right there. So, kaiju in Pacific Rim have 6 eyes, and most of them have these colored streaks on their bodies. Leatherback also has these, but that's a different review for a different day. So overall, detail is very, very nicely captured. Good job goes out to NECA, because they are a different company. Now, unfortunately, I cannot cover Superpowers because I don't believe Knifehead has any actual superpowers. He can swim, but I wouldn't really call that so much a special superpower, because just about every kaiju in Pacific Rim can swim. They do come from the Pacific Ocean. But anyway, no known superpowers. I don't believe he has any noticeable superpowers in the video game, or so I've heard, so there you go. Now, on to articulation. Another good thing about this figure is that he has quite a few articulation points. He has both arms that can swivel up and down like this, and they both have an elbow joint, so it can look like he's grabbing something or slashing something or whatever. The jaw here actually opens and closes. It can't because of the tongue, but it can't close all the way because the tongue gets in the way, but it does open and close, which was pretty cool. So that's 5 points. And both legs each have a joint. The thigh joint can move, and the knee joint can move, as you can see here. So it makes it look like he's squatting. So overall, 9 points of articulation. The tail is also one more thing. The tail does have a bendable joint inside, so you can pose it in different forms, but I prefer to keep it this way, so overall that's 9 points and 1 bendable joint, which is pretty good. So another good job to NECA. And now on to sizing. Seeing as I do have some other NECA figures in the line, let's pull out the Jaeger that he does fight as well in the film. Here is Gypsy Danger. Now here is the one complaint I've been hearing a lot from people about this particular figure, as well as the reason why I mentioned there will be another release of Knifehead in the future, because the one downside about this figure that I've noticed so far is he is not accurately scaled. Apparently, Knifehead, from what I'm told, is supposed to be about this big in comparison to Gypsy Danger. So, overall, a lot of people say the sizing is off. The other figure of Knifehead that will be coming out in March will be released in Season 3. That is going to be Battle Damage Knifehead. And the difference between the two is that Knifehead figure is actually bigger than this one. Apparently it's more accurately scaled as well, but it also has these blue blood spatters all over the side of his body, so unless you're more of a sucker for sizing, which I am, then you'd recommend picking it up. But the reason I haven't is because, well, I'll pull out another figure to show why. Because the other figure I've got from NECA is a Category 4 Kaiju Leatherback. Now, as I said before, Leatherback is Category 4, which, as I would interpret it, is that he's supposed to be bigger and stronger. So that would kind of justify why Knifehead is smaller. So that way it kind of makes the other Category 4 Kaiju look bigger in comparison, so I just thought I'd pull that out there. And for those of you who have Bandai figures, let's pull out a few. Here is Ultraman. Now, I think if Knifehead was in a tokusatsu film, because the guy who made Pacific Rim is apparently a huge Ultraman fan, I think this would be nicely scaled. So, I think scaling's okay here. And for you Godzilla fans, here's 68 Godzilla. And as you can see here, I think this also looks pretty good. Knifehead. Yeah, I'd imagine Knifehead being this big if he were to fight Godzilla, if they were accurately sized, so there you go. And so that just about does it for this review. He is a newcomer, so can't really take away points from that. Detail is very, very nicely captured. Articulation has a lot of good points, so good stuff there. And sizing is a little bit off. Well, I guess you could call it a bit off, so overall I'm going to give this figure an 8 out of 10. A lot of it is very good. Not too sure about the whole sizing issue. Personally, it doesn't bother me, but apparently it bothers everyone else. So overall, I give this either an 8 or an 8.5 out of 10. It is a very, very nicely captured rendition of the Kaiju Knifehead. And so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this review. One last word I'd like to give before I officially close this review is I'd like to give a big thanks out to NECA for making these figures, as well as give you all a little bit of insight on these figures that could help NECA in the future. From what I've been hearing from a few resources, or a few forums online more, actually, NECA is looking for some feedback on these figures in order to help them decide which figures between the Jaegers and the Kaiju is what they should tackle next. Me personally, I'm a bigger fan of the Kaiju, so I would definitely love to see Kaiju like especially Otachi, Raiju, or even Scunner, and especially Slattern being released in the line as well. I don't know if they ever will because Kaiju like Otachi and Slattern are so huge or have pieces that makes them very big. But if NECA is definitely looking for feedback, I just wanted to give them this as far as my take on feedback. To NECA, these figures of the Pacific Rim characters are very, very nice. The detail on them is great. The sizing, for the most part, is definitely very good. The articulation is great. And I think you're doing a really, really great job on these figures. And if you're looking for any side of the fence to take on characters I like in the film, I am definitely a huge fan of the Kaiju. I would definitely love to see Kaiju like Otachi being made, and I do hope that my feedback on Knifehead is worthwhile. And to anybody who's watching this review, if you ever want to give a shout out to NECA about who you like between the Jaegers or the Kaiju, feel free to do so, because any feedback that you give to them will most likely help them in the future. But for me, I love the Kaiju in the film. I'd definitely love to see NECA make more of them, and that's it overall. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope more people show support to NECA for making these figures. See ya!